the priority is always, at all times, customer service.
To me, that's the frustrating irony of what we do, because you have a task you need to get done, and it's daunting, and you're stressed out, and then you have to stop to answer questions about how many issues Miles Morales has been in actual legacy numbering.
Sure.
And all you can think of is, I want to finish this task, or like if I don't finish checking this order in, there's nothing for people to buy. No, the most important thing is helping the people buy something.
Yeah, that's the weird dichotomy in the brain, is like, I have to process this order because how else are we going to have books to sell? But it's like, here's someone in your store right now with money in their pocket. They're the person you have to make a priority.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. I still approve, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep bringing comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Del Bush.
Dal.
Del. Del.
W. Dal Bush.
One of the things I hate about having multiple distributors that we order from is their invoicing system, and how excuse me, how specifically Simon & Schuster invoices only get sent in the middle of the night.
Okay.
Every morning I wake up to invoices from Simon & Schuster that get sent at like midnight or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure it's a timed thing in their system, but I don't like getting invoices at literally every hour of the day. One literally just came in as I was pressing start on the record, which is what made me launch into this very tiny tirade.
Okay.
And we've mentioned many times before how you can place an order with, 100 line items, and that could be sent in 50 different orders for the next 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of invoices that leads to, even if they're just digital, it's still a lot.
It's a lot.
And the number of purchase orders, the purchase orders specifically, because the items get filled whenever they have them. So you could have dozens of purchase orders for one order that you've placed.
Yep.
And it's always, I don't know about you, but there's always a tiny bit of joy I take when I close a purchase order out in Stocky.
It's nice.
When you're like, oh, I'm checking in the last item from this order from mid 2023.
Yeah. And then I can go through and I can archive those so they don't show up on the page anymore. So it's one less thing to have to sort through.
I kind of like when it has them all in there because it just shows you the depth of the ordering system.
Yeah.
Should I do that from now on? Archive it when I
I'll
close
take care of it. I do it every so often. It's not a
Okay.
big deal.
I'm just saying, it's one less thing you have to do.
It's not like a huge task I do.
This is a normal answer to a challenger's question of, hey, should I be doing this? And Dal's answer is always, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, mostly just because it's like, you could, but I mean, I literally do it like once every 6 weeks and it takes me like 45 seconds.
Okay.
So, I mean, sure, if you want to, but
I just occasionally read into that like, no. Don't fuck it up.
no,
I'll do this.
no, it's just literally something where it's like, why would you need two people to do this?
I mean,
It's
if
like,
you
it's
have a
enough
routine,
task.
if you have a plan of how you do it.
I don't. It's seriously just a thing where I'll occasionally be checking stuff in through Stocky and I'll have a spare 45 seconds and be like, oh, there's a bunch of these that are green. Archive. Cleaned up.
There are specific things that come in our inbox that I'm pretty sure each of us will see it. And normally the rule is whoever's working that day takes care of that email.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's specific subjects. And then either of us will be like, I'll leave that one for the other.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I feel like it's not so much that as, I just want to deal with this.
I mean, I'm sure that's a part of it, yeah.
For instance, I think that a lot of the requests of people being like, hey, I want to sign at your store, you leave those for me.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether I'm off that day or not.
Yeah. There's certain things I just think you're better at. Things like talent relations, that sort of stuff. Mostly because you're
That sounds so fancy.
Sure,
Thanks.
you're welcome. Because it's stuff that frequently has like a social media component to it, which means that I don't have access to that stuff, or I don't care to have access to that stuff.
That's the real answer.
So it's something where you might have to look at someone's Instagram or contact someone on Twitter or, make an event on Facebook or whatever. And it's like, I'm not going to be able to do any of that stuff. So better for Patrick to just take this from square one rather than me having to incrementally throughout the process loop you in and go, please do this. Please, can you add this? And this person has this thing they want to do. And it's just like, it's better for me just to step back and let you handle it because you do it better.
It's to the point now where if I'm planning an event with a local creator,
Mhm.
I'll go out of my way to put it on a day that you don't work just to make it easier for
Sure.
you. I feel like you prefer that.
May 18th is a complicated day. Not only is it Sarah
Beacon and
for
bread.
Let's Make Bread, there is a 40th anniversary Transformers event that's going on in theaters. They are screening the first 4 episodes of the animated series, but with the first episode, they're doing a split screen presentation where it's the animation from the first episode
And then the actual Transformer giving you their thoughts about their role in the movie.
accompanied by a brand new table read from Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime and Ironhide.
What do you mean the voice of?
Frank Welker, the voice of Megatron, and I think Soundwave. Greg Berger, the voice of Grimlock. Like, they brought in a bunch of the original voice actors who are still alive
I'm very excited to have you hear this.
to read the script alongside the
Who
animation.
was that? What Transformer was that?
Ric Flair. So that's happening on May 18th. They haven't officially offered
What
the
does Ric
tickets
Flair
yet,
transform into?
and I don't know
A woman's
when
shoe.
it's happening relative to the Let's Make Bread event.
Well, don't forget this, Dal.
Yes,
That event was planned specifically knowing you would be out of town.
true. But the other thing is, it's actually one of 3 days they'll be doing that theatrical event, so I can probably just go. It's like the Wednesday before and the Sunday after, so I'll figure it out.
I don't expect
But
you to
May
be
18th,
at the
busy
Sarah,
day.
the Sarah Beacon event,
We'll see.
and I'd already asked Donovan to work it.
We'll see. I like bread.
I know you do. You won't like this bread.
I like bread.
It's not just bread, Dal.
I like bread.
Tell that to Margie.
I like that she made that bread for somebody else.
I like that she made the bread too. Well, since you brought up events, I have been working on a bunch of local creator events.
Mhm.
We have Sage Coffee and Conversation coming up in May on the 10th of Friday.
Okay.
And it's very similar. They were the interviewer for Maddie Lipchansky when we had them in for
Boys Weekend.
Boys Weekend. I was going to say Boys Vacation. So now it's a role reversal, and that same Wednesday we have Mark Bouchard in with a law themed event,
Mhm.
and then as you mentioned we have the Sarah Beacon Let's Make Bread event
Mhm.
on the 18th. We also just confirmed.
Just confirmed.
We're
Like,
announcing
within
it.
the last 60 minutes.
We're announcing it here.
Uh-huh.
It was confirmed last night.
No, I got an email.
Yeah, I got
Confirmed.
I got a phone call.
It's in writing though. That makes it official.
And I already did a flyer, and I need to send it to the person we were just copied with today, Sean, because I'm not sure how much emphasis I'm giving on the anniversary. But we are on Wednesday, May 1st, from 11
May
a.m.
1st.
to 1 p.m. It is a celebration for the 1-year anniversary of Distillery. And as such, we will have Brian Azzarello signing the just released Blood Brothers Mother book.
Yep.
And we will have Stephanie Phillips, who is writing an upcoming Distillery book that hasn't come out yet. And also the upcoming Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider series, which won't be out yet either.
Oh, great.
So close, though.
Great.
But Stephanie has a ton of books, like currently the Black Widow and Hawkeye series.
Yep.
Uh,
We've got the collection for the Rogan Gambit series that she did.
the Capwolf collection just came out. Of course, the monthly Grimm series.
Mhm.
So there's plenty of things that Stephanie has done that we have. Also, 8 Limbs.
Yep.
None of those Distillery, but it is a Distillery-themed event. So Brian Azzarello and Stephanie Phillips signing on May 1st.
May 1st. Wednesday,
And-
May 1st.
That was a point we had made, I think, last episode or the episode before, that a Brian Azzarello signing at Free Comic Book Day is what got one of our patrons to be a out-of-state regular for challengers. So Brian's coming back, and we expect the same kind of results.
Yeah, if not better.
Exactly. So that just got into effect. And like I said, I did a new flyer, and it's a lot of information to convey.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to send it along to, it's rare. Like I always send the flyer to the creator to be like, hey, you good with this? And 90% of the time, everyone's like, yeah, great, love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oftentimes I'll have to dig out a photo of the person. We have an event coming up with Bianca Xunise for punk rock karaoke, and that'll be in July.
Mm-hmm.
Now the book comes out in the end of April, and in doing research trying to find a current picture of Bianca, because we actually have photos of Bianca at Challengers, but from years back, there's actually a great photo of both Bianca Xunise and Sage Coffey tabling at a Women's Comics Month event.
Cool.
At the same time. But the amount of local events Bianca is doing for punk rock karaoke,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all slightly different, like, in conversation with Sage Coffey at, I think, like Women and Children First.
Great.
And a big launch event at Quimby's. And it looks like ours is going to be a zine workshop.
Oh, cool.
And that's going to be on Saturday, July 20th.
Nice.
But while we will be the last event after a string of events, so I don't know what market there will
Who's
still
left?
be for it.
Who's left to get
However,
this book?
I am a strong proponent of creators doing as many events for their properties as possible.
Yeah, you never know.
To get the word out. You know, Women and Children First is all the way up in Andersonville.
Yeah, it's largely separate markets, and we've frequently bemoaned the idea that people in Chicago don't really go all over the place to go see creators. They tend to stick to their neighborhoods and their local shops, and that's sort of it. Like, the number of times that people have done me like, oh, I can't believe so-and-so creators going to Challengers. They should come to my shop. And it's like, your shop is 2 miles away. Like, why not just come here and meet them? Nope. This is the shop I go to. Like, okay,
yeah,
great.
it's a weird
Great.
loyalty thing. But anyway, I think that there's something for everyone at every event. And we were just approached by another Midwest creator for a book they have coming out in August for an event. And it's somebody that we don't know personally, but they know a friend of our stores who suggested Challengers, and they are excited to sign at Challengers, and I've not gotten back to them. And there's always a lag in getting back to people via emails now, and my inbox is just climbing, climbing with unread emails, because a lot of it are PDFs and previews that I haven't gotten to.
Sure. And the second you download them, you're going to forget about them.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't just download it and forget about it.
A creator friend of ours asked if I would read their upcoming graphic novel, and I said sure, and they sent it to me, and I got it like a week ago, and I haven't touched it, but I have a tab open with it there so I don't forget to read it. And every night I'm like, you have to read that tomorrow. And that was going to be like, you have to read the first thing today. Well, I couldn't because I had to finish the monthly paperwork.
Of course.
And then just the standard Thursday financials, and then start working on the Thursday invoices, which I can only do PRH first because Lunar always takes longer to get. Like, it'll be up sometime tonight. They used to be up like early afternoon, but now it's late afternoon, early evening.
Okay.
Which is ironic because they shipped next week's books out so early. We got next week's books this past Monday.
Yeah, so
a week and a half in advance.
So the stuff that goes on sale April 10th that we would normally get like
April
4th or 5th, we got
April 2nd.
April 1st.
April 1st, yeah.
April 1st. Very early, which I mean is great because one of the things that's really difficult in any given week is trying to read all the new books before they go on sale, because you want to be able to answer questions, you want to be able to recommend stuff, you want to be able to describe things. And it sucks when you only have like a day or two before the books go on sale to do that. It's nice when you have a week. So I can just have a small pile of stuff next to a chair and be like, I'll read those soon, and know that I will still have plenty of time to get them done.
One of the adjustments we've had to make with the explosion of distributors
Mhm.
during the pandemic was we were used to getting books on Tuesday that go on sale Wednesday. Then it became a situation where you have to then store the books you're getting that don't go on sale until sometime in the next week.
Mhm.
So adjustments had to be made and plans had to be formulated to be able to literally have these boxes and boxes of books somewhere before they can go out.
At first, you were just like, we put them under a table and that's enough. But then more distributors and more stuff. So it wasn't just like a small selection of things. Like at first, it was like just Lunar. So Lunar was just DC. So it's like, okay, well, just the DC stuff needs to sit under a table. No big deal. But then, PRH gets into the game and they've got Marvel and they've got Dark Horse, and they've got IDW, and Lunar gets Image. And it just suddenly we went from saying like, okay, a very small percentage of additional product needs to wait while the majority of stuff comes in the day before and we don't have to store it anyplace, to completely inverting that. We're a very small
large
selection of stuff.
majority comes in early.
Yeah, like we're getting 10 to 15% of what we would normally shelve for the week in the day before, and 85 to 90% in days, if not a week before.
And then our plan was, well, we'll just put these boxes on top of the bookshelves, which we did for a while, but that just looks bad.
It looks bad, and they're also very heavy, and that makes them difficult to move back and forth.
It's literally a thing that only you and I would be doing. Even when I have help, when the books come in, they'd be like, okay, they're ready for you to put on the shelf, which I completely understand.
When Molly Jane and I were working together, it was the same thing where when the Marvel stuff, the PRH stuff would come in on a Monday, we check everything, and then it's like, okay, this is going to go on top of the shelf now.
Yeah. But now we have a plan for where everything goes. But this week it had to be, we need a week and a half worth of book storage.
That sucked.
And not only that, but we occasionally let creators buy books from us at a discounted price for them to sell at conventions. Like, we're not sub-distributing, we're not a wholesaler, but friends of ours who are creators, we let them buy books from us to sell at shows.
Right.
And usually it's a fairly easy situation when it's somebody with one property or one item or one book.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I have a variant cover coming out. Can you get me X number of copies above and beyond? But when it's somebody who keeps restocking like their whole sellable inventory that has to be ordered from multiple distributors.
Yep. Distributors that are most difficult to deal with, and also the books themselves are gigantic and heavy.
Yeah, it becomes an inconvenience, and the storage for that stuff. It's like, this all has to go somewhere.
6 boxes, where do they go?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not just that. I was dealing with a creator today who had a bunch of questions because a lot of publishers have something in place where the creators can buy from them at cost or wholesale or whatever.
Right.
But this creator was asking me, saying, hey, when a publisher changes a price of a book, do they let you know? And the answer is absolutely not.
They do not.
And it is always a surprise, and we had to put a system in place like a year or so ago to start checking for that, because
I think DC used to do it. I recall pre-pandemic, the direct channels, there would be a little section where they would say that such and such a book is now such and such a price.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
Diamond used to make it easier because what they would do is it'd be a whole new item with a whole new inventory code.
Right. Like when Marvel's done it, when they change the prices on like Epic Collections or whatever else, it's always a new printing.
Yeah.
And that becomes its own separate line item and its own separate order code and whatever.
Which, if you're trying to track historical data, does mess things up.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's easier because it's a new item, basically.
Right. Yeah, if it has a different price, for all intents and purposes for us, it is a different item. Even though the content is the same, because we have to charge a different amount, it is a different item.
But now, things just show up with a new price, which means a new barcode.
Yeah, virtually anytime we get like a Sidekicks book in, like stuff from First Second or Scholastic Graphics, we're just scanning stuff and finding out, this barcode doesn't isn't what we have in our system anymore because the price went up by $1. Okay.
All
let's
the
change
little
all
golden
that.
books have gone up. Viz is repricing everything as they reprint it.
Yeah, like their $9.99 books are moving to $11.99, and their $12.99 books are moving to $14.99.
Sometimes
and
$15.99.
A bunch of like all the Junji Ito stuff is raising in price, which was already a hardcover price to begin with.
Yeah.
So yeah, every time we get like, oh, we got this Chainsaw Man back in after 6 months. Oh, it's got a completely different barcode now.
Yeah. So I mean, that's things we look out for because we've learned that we have to.
Yeah.
But this creator was concerned of how that changes because they didn't realize it was a whole new printing.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that it was just being marked up.
No.
And they were worried about a like new price sticker just being put over the price.
No.
I mean, legitimate concerns.
I would never have thought of that, but no, that's not how it works.
Yeah. But then because they found out because they went to order a case of one of their books and the case price went up by like $20. So like, why did it go up?
Yep.
Oh, because the price of the book went up by $3.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's I felt like saying, I mean, I said basically like that's what we have to deal with every week.
Mm-hmm.
We never know when a price is changing, and it's on us to find it out.
Yeah.
And there's such a lag in the Shopify system that if a book slips through our system and we don't realize it's changed, and you go to scan it and it has a new price, it won't scan because it's a new barcode. So you can't just scan a book and raise the price because in Shopify, you cannot raise a price when you're editing an item on the screen. You can only lower it.
Correct.
So what I normally do is immediately go into the back end of Shopify and update the listing of the book. But that takes several minutes to take effect for the barcode to be able to work.
Mm-hmm.
However, it does change it automatically if you search for it by title.
Right.
But you're always afraid of the lag, and the last thing you want to do is be ringing it up and have somebody see a different price than what the book says. And
Sure.
yeah, and it's such a and it's never really been a problem. It's just you feel awkward because you need to take a minute out of the transaction to go fix a book,
Right.
because a new price slipped by. And there was a transaction over the weekend where somebody had 3 books
mm-hmm.
that all had different prices. I'm like, how do we miss this? We like all the reorders that come in, we scan every book.
Well, so some of it is new graphic novels that we've gotten in that we just literally haven't sold yet.
Yeah, that's fair. There was the Batman, the Brave and the Bold book.
Yeah.
It had the wrong barcode.
Well, it had a wrong last digit on the extension. It had instead of a 99, it had a 98, which happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until we start like actually scanning a book to sell it that you start to realize that stuff is happening. Otherwise there's virtually no way to know.
Look, another Panorama House Invoices came in.
Sweet. And it's the same thing for older graphic novels. If we get something new in and it takes 2 months to sell, then it's going to be 2 months until we realize the barcode is wrong. And frequently stuff won't get corrected until the reorder arrives for it. Like you might notice it's something is the barcode's wrong, but you find it in the system by searching for it by title, and you get it on the transaction, and you don't have another copy that you can use to change it. Like frequently for me, if I'm by myself, like that's it. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. I'm just going to make sure it's right on the transaction now. And when it comes back in on the reorder, that's when we'll change it. Because that's when you can change it easily.
Yeah.
When you're checking in a whole batch of new books, you have a little bit of time to go, oh, this didn't scan right. Let me go in and make all the alterations.
We make a pile
Yeah.
on Friday of the ones I need to get to.
Yeah.
It feels like there's got to be a better system for that.
There's not. I mean, a lot of this
I don't mean us. I mean from the publisher.
Yeah. A lot of this is just the same thing like the Comet Standard is trying to do for comics, where it's all data stuff. And because there's not a lot of great best practices and every distributor does it differently, there's really no way. I can't even think of how you would solve a problem like that. I mean, the solution would be something we'd hate, which is way more emails. I mean, do you want 3 or 4 emails a day from Simon & Schuster telling you all the different barcodes have changed for all of the books they carry?
I want one email that has all the books in it.
So it's going to be one gigantic CSV file full of stuff that you're not going to want to go through that we don't carry.
That we don't order.
Yeah, for someone like Simon & Schuster, they're one of the largest book distributors in the United States, if not the largest, and we only carry from them graphic novels. We carry Viz, we carry Boom, we carry Oni. Like, it's not a ton of stuff. So you'd be sorting through so much garbage that you don't carry because some faith-based publisher has a different barcode on a hardcover book, and it's like we don't carry that. That's
Well, for
irrelevant
that, I'd
to us.
expect Jesus to tell us that it changed.
No, Jesus lets you do it yourself. That's how it works, Patrick. He helps those who help themselves. 2 CSV data. Do you remember the whole quote?
I don't. It's been a very long time.
Just after Easter, too.
My mother would be very disappointed. I thought I was dealing with a lot of CSV files earlier this morning. Isn't it fun? Last week in the lunar shipment, we got an email. We got a letter from Ahoy Comics from Mark Russell. And it was hand signed by Mark Russell. And it was basically like, hey, My Bad is coming back with a new volume, a new miniseries. And this is the favorite book that I do. And I would love it if you could support it, all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
And Ahoy does their correspondence on the same type of stationery that DC used to do in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, cool.
Where on the back of it, it had a stack of heroes on each other's shoulders.
Yeah.
And then it got to the top, and it's just like Superman holding his arms up.
Uh-huh.
But on the front of the page, it has the DC logo in the center.
Yeah, the
so when
circular
you hold
DC bullet logo.
Yeah. So when you hold it up to the light,
Yeah.
it's those heroes holding
This
the logo.
This shadowy column of heroes holding up the actual emblem
So
of the company.
That's what Ahoy does for theirs as well,
Nice.
with all of their characters.
That's cool.
And in the letter, it was like, and hey, as a thank you, we've included this sketch of insert character name for My Bad, which I can't remember,
Okay,
like
great.
Sky Ape or something, by Mike Allred for you.
Oh, how nice.
Except all we got was this letter.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, where's the picture? And I look at the back, I'm like, that's not, I mean, that character's on this list of this
Right,
stack
that's
of
not
people.
a sketch by Mike
It's
Allred.
also, it's not Mike Allred. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Just a couple days ago on a retailer thread, somebody posted about getting the letter, the signed letter, not getting the sketch. And everybody replied like, I got the letter, I didn't get a sketch.
Whoops. And
it turns out that the letters went out kind of before they were supposed to, or there should have been sketches.
So there's no sketches yet?
No, but like they weren't. It was a print of a sketch. It wasn't a hand-drawn sketch.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that Mike Allred was going to be doing individual sketches.
But it turns out that
retailer in the U.S.
Ahoy doesn't know how to correct this, because I'm not sure if the letter went to every single retailer or just people who ordered their stuff or whatever.
Sure, that makes sense.
But basically, the retailer that reached out to them got their books from Diamond, and Ahoy point blank said, we cannot fix this because Diamond will not give us the list of stores they sent it to.
Great.
And it just reminded me of dealing with PR people who, on the store's behalf, would send out press releases and information. And early on to one of them, and I don't remember which one because we had a couple, I said, can you give me a list of who you sent this to so we know where it's going? And basically, so we know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, no, we don't give that information out. Nothing would then stop you from using that list for your own ends.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't thought about it that way, and I get it.
Right.
But otherwise, it's like, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, like all PR, it's a total black box.
Yeah.
What is happening and what good is it doing us?
I don't know what we're paying you for. And
Right.
it's just, it always seems to me that when we get emails from image creators, they're using a list that was given to them by a distributor.
Right.
But to find out that other distributors are not getting any information from the publisher.
So I could be wrong, but my suspicion is always that at a distributor there are different tiers of publishers. And I mean that's legitimate in the sense of Diamond, because there's like premier publishers and like associate publishers or whatever, the different levels they have. And the highest tier is, like at this point, Boom, basically.
Yeah.
And Dynamite, where they have different deals. They get a front of the catalog listing. They have more options as ways that they can contact stores and promote stuff and different freight allowances and all that sort of stuff. And that means that they probably have access to data that Diamond would not give to, Silver Sprocket or whatever. That's just a back of the catalog publisher that doesn't necessarily have a specific deal with them, as opposed to Lunar that may or may not, because Lunar doesn't seem to have that sort of tiered structure. It's just they have a lot of publishers they carry, and either everyone gets the same thing or people negotiate deals on their own behalf. So yeah, Ahoy might be in a position with Diamond where they aren't a higher tier publisher.
Especially because you can get your Hoy stuff from Lunar as well.
Yeah. So for Lunar, they might be able to tell Ahoy, like, it's these people and these are your highest selling stores. And Diamond's just like, no, you're not a big enough publisher to get that data. I'm guessing. I don't know anything.
What another retailer said was, did anybody ask Lunar about this?
Mm-hmm.
But it always strikes me as, for example, last week we found out that our copies of Miles Morales,
Miles Morales Spider-Man 18, the
had
300th legacy issue,
had printing errors in them. On
the fact that it's the 300 legacy issue really bothers me, because it's not the 300 Miles Morales issue. He hasn't been around that long. It's 300 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man plus every Miles Morales comic after that.
Is that how they numbered it?
There's no way it could be anything else.
Because Miles has had so many series, I didn't bother to count.
But Miles hasn't even been around for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, isn't he like 2008, a little early or something like that?
Yeah.
So there's almost no way he could, like, unless he has 20 comics a year, every year forever. Like, so they have to be counting the 150 something issues of Ultimate Spider-Man, and then the Ultimate Spider-Man issues.
But he
with
wasn't
Miles
even
and
in
everything
those.
else. Like, that's how they've done it with stuff like, Cat 300 or 400 or 700 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're counting the issues of the anthology comic that he wasn't in. Same thing with Thor, same thing with Hulk, same thing with everybody who gets the legacy number. And like with Deadpool, they've done it
Amazing
where...
Fantasy 1000.
Yeah, well, I mean, for stuff like Deadpool,
Marvel Comics 1000
they
and
counted every single issue of every Deadpool comic book to get to like 900 or 1000 or whatever.
Or if
Marvel
you look
Age
at
1000.
Look,
what is that?
Marvel
Doesn't mean
Legacy numbering for the new X-Men titles doesn't make sense, because the current run of adjectiveless X-Men continues Uncanny X-Men Legacy numbering, but when they relaunch, there's going to be Uncanny and adjectiveless.
Right.
So Uncanny is going to start getting the...
Right. And don't forget there was an actual comic called X-Men Legacy.
Yeah.
That continued one of their numbers. Yeah, it's all... It's bullshit math, basically, and it's largely there so that they can justify a price increase. Like, them calling Miles Morales Spider-Man number 18 issue 300 is just a way that they can charge $10 or $9 or whatever it cost for it. $9, I think. And a book needed to do that for the month. Like, there you go.
I really needed to remember where I was going before you went off on this. I'm like, wait, hold on. What was the thing about Miles?
Morales.
Right, but I'm like,
why
did I bring it up? Why did I bring it up? Right, so we found out there was a misprint on Miles Morales. And whenever that happens, which is occasionally, but it does still happen, I'll take a photo of the error and I'll post it in a couple of different retailer groups and just say, hey, look out, this happened. Check your copies or whatever.
Yeah, like we had it happen before with a Great British Bump Off issue that had all of an issue of Assassin's Apprentice, a different Dark Horse book, inside it. And it was just the A cover, much like the Miles Morales situation, where the variants weren't affected, but the A cover had every copy we had was misprinted in the exact same way with the wrong book's guts inside it.
You're determined to make me forget this. The theme of
I'm
this
adding
thread.
context.
So, and like the example you just pointed out, each of those times that I've posted these things on retailers' forums, and I'm a member of many of them, and I'll post it on like 2, maybe 3 of them. For the bump off, I posted it on a bunch of them, but this time I just did it in 2. And the engagement in those posts is always minimal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying people have to like it. I don't care. It's just put out as a warning for other people. Check yours. And there were a handful of people that either looked at it and said, mine are all fine. I got them from Plattsburgh.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're not just warning people. You also want to hear back, like, is this widespread or is this just me?
Right. And when they say Plattsburgh, they mean this is our Diamond warehouse we get it from. And it used to be a rule, like, hey, if you're doing that, if you're posting something about a delivery, mention your warehouse so people know specifically to check if it's their warehouse. And when I saw someone put Plattsburgh, I'm like, oh man, I didn't mention a warehouse. Oh no, we don't get it from Diamond.
Yeah.
It's a Marvel book. We get it from PRH.
Right.
But anyway, so it's like somebody said, like, we have an error on a different page.
Mm-hmm.
But most, like, the handful of people said, no, ours are fine. And there's always somebody who tags somebody else, like, hey, check this out for us or whatever. Mm-hmm. The engagement on this Ahoy letter because I didn't get my free all red sketch, I'll just say is considerably higher.
Always.
All red.
Always, man. They're like, every retailer, like, they have to get their free stuff. They have to get their little gift, their little treat. And if they don't get it, they're going to be so mad all the time.
Whenever we get promo items from movies, that stuff goes like crazy. People will call me like, can you hold me? Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to hold it for you.
No.
And it's all just...
It's free. Why would we hold it?
It's all just cheap PR junk. And occasionally, I'll keep some stuff. And whenever I come across it in my home, I think, why do I have this?
Yeah, I don't keep any of that stuff. I can't think of the last thing that we got for like a promotional tie-in that I was like, I want to own that.
Oh, you know what I kept
care.
and I still use regularly at the store?
Mm.
A Don't Be Afraid of the Dark bathroom kit. It was a little plastic bag with a collapsible toothbrush.
Nice.
And toothpaste and dental floss.
Cool.
And that is my store toothbrush.
Nice.
Over the years, I have replaced the toothpaste because I've used it all.
You have to, yes.
But it is the portable toothbrush that lives in the box of all of our cleaning supplies.
Nice.
But I don't mind leaving it there because it's in a sealed plastic container. And I have no idea what that has to do with that movie. It was like Guillermo del Toro presents but didn't direct.
Maybe Guillermo del Toro cares a lot about dental health.
Hygiene, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like people aren't flossing enough. We got to do something about that.
And the store has an Invincible branded power battery.
Okay.
And another horror movie, like little knockoff Maglite flashlight.
Great.
So those are things that we've kept that are actually useful.
Great.
But usually don't understand how they tie in, like the Invincible battery pack. I mean, come on. But yeah, it's all. I couldn't. Were we given a print of a Mike Allred sketch of a My Bad character, we wouldn't do anything with it. We would see if anybody pre-ordered My Bad and then give it to them.
I can think of like 2 customers we have that get a bunch of Ahoy stuff, so we'd flip a coin and one of them would just get it.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's the Mike Allred print.
Now, if it was an actual Mike Allred sketch, we'd probably hang it up in Sidekicks.
Yeah, if it was something done for the store.
Yeah. Like we've got a bunch of Steve Lieber sketches in there. Tyrell Cannon has a couple sketches that he's done for us.
Yeah, that's
when
different.
people send us stuff. Yeah.
But like, it's just always so disappointing how greedy stores can sort of seem when they do stuff like that. I remember we were at it was a Diamond Retailer Summit. It was at C2E2.
It was in Chicago. I know exactly what you're going to say.
And it was a retailer dinner, and during the dinner, the different sponsoring companies, because someone has to pay for that food, we're doing little presentations. And, you try to be polite. You pay attention as much as you are physically able to do so after a long day of Diamond Retailer Summit.
And we had a table in the back with Brian Hibbs, Jen Haynes, you and I. Can't remember who else.
But like, basically, Boom did a presentation, and then they were also going to be giving away
Power Rangers.
It was a Power Rangers variant, but I don't remember if it was like slabbed or not slabbed. I don't remember what the deal was. But anyway, it was like a Power Rangers variant. And immediately, as soon as like they announced this, like retailers were lining up to get their free books, and it's like there are other promotions going on.
Scotty Young was on the stage talking about his book.
Yeah, Bully Wars that was about to come out, and it was like, these people paid for the meal that you just ate. Like, the least you can do is sit there and pay attention to it instead of immediately abandoning them because you've got to get your free thing. And like, the twist ended up being like, Boom didn't bring enough of the variant, and the variant was actually going for a bunch of money online. But like, what they also said was like, look, come to the booth the next day, let us know, and we'll work it out. And they did. Like, none of this needed to happen. No one needed to throw the other vendors and suppliers and sponsors under the bus.
It was so disrespectful.
It was gross.
We talked to a then Image employee the next day, and he was mad about it.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, that's the comics retail community, is if there is something to be had, they want it. And it doesn't matter like how tacky it might look that they're going after it. They don't care. Like the retail industry for comics has never cared. Like, the entire market is built on marking things up. So what's the difference?
It was pretty embarrassing.
It was not great.
And it's great
I
because
hope that doesn't happen again this year at the lunar Friday night sponsored dinner thing.
I think you need to take the word dinner out of there.
There's not a dinner?
I don't think it's a dinner.
Oh, it's just, is it at least snacks, drinks?
Nothing about snacks or drinks or
Okay.
food has been provided.
Well, are they going to leave the lights on at least?
They haven't said either way.
Oof, boy.
Yeah. But what I did like was the fact that nobody at our table cared to get up and get in line.
It works itself out. You get it or you don't.
Yeah.
It's not going to put your business under.
And I do remember someone from Boom came up to us and said, like, hey, we'll go out of our way to get you the book. And we honestly said, we don't care.
Yeah, I did stop by and talk to Morgan the next day at the booth just to be like, hey, just FYI, like, we didn't get it. So, like, if we can get that, great. If it's not, it's not a big deal. It was basically just me putting my name on a list. I didn't care.
Sure.
It was not going to, again, my business wasn't going to be impacted negatively because I didn't get it. It's just a free thing I didn't get. Who cares?
Well, you were talking specifically about how the comics industry operates.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's gross.
I watched an interview today with a man named James Tipson. He is the CEO of the Tipson Company, which is the leading UK service provider. They have 5,600 employees.
Service provider of what?
They have 2,000 different shops.
Okay.
They also took over all the like photo booths inside Tesco's.
Okay.
So they own a bunch of stores, but the stores are all different things.
Okay.
But what they have is what they call the upside down management system.
Okay.
They have 2 rules for their employees.
Uh-huh.
You ready for these 2 rules? That's it. 2 rules.
Ready for it.
Number 1,
Uh-huh.
look the part.
Okay.
Number 2, put the money in the till.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Every retail employee has the power to do whatever they want.
Okay.
If you want to paint the store pink, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to give this person a huge discount, fine. If you want to give the stuff away, go ahead.
Okay.
And they feel that.
There's no like performance metrics for this store.
Well, but I mean, obviously if they start losing money and things
Uh-huh.
aren't working out, people will get fired.
Okay.
But the emphasis is on the employees being happy, because if their employees are happy and they're having a good time, they're going to be making money, and profits are going to go up.
Yeah, and additionally, I mean, you want people to feel self-motivated. You
Yeah.
want people to feel like the ability for the store to succeed or fail rests on them. So if they have ideas, they're able to execute them.
Yeah.
Like that's the dream of any employer is I want the people who work for me to care as much about the business as I do.
So I feel like we have those rules amongst others. Look the part, which is not followed.
So one of the things that we've done, I got to choose my words carefully when we're talking about this. One of the things that we do when we bring someone on staff at Challengers is we kind of point out, like, look, Patrick and I dress up a little bit more at a comic shop than a lot of comic shop employees do. I wear a suit and tie. Patrick wears a tie and a vest. We try to look like we care as much about the business as we do. We don't like things like t-shirts and jeans and stuff because while I'm sure that's more comfortable, it also doesn't really convey our belief in our business. So while we don't have a dress code for our employees, we try to point out, like, look, we would prefer not to have people in things like t-shirts and jeans. Like, if you can dress it up a little bit. Again, we don't have a dress code. We don't expect everyone to dress like we do, but we expect them to dress a little bit better than if you were just like, hanging out at a friend's house or, going grocery shopping or whatever. And across the board, people are great at that for the first 6 weeks. And then things start to slowly degrade until eventually you're in a point where it's like, you are in t-shirt and jeans. Like, that is the arc of it across the board. And then it's like, how much do you want to fight this?
I would like to point out that Samantha now comes wearing a vest and a tie
Nice.
every week.
I'm very glad to hear that.
Yep. She's found a brand of vest that she likes.
Cool.
And not only that, they're all red vests.
It's great.
I can't find red vests.
Men's red vests are real difficult to find.
Men's red vests are all service vests.
Yeah, it's
so
all,
they're
it's
short
all valets.
and they're all shiny material
Yeah.
with the fake buttons sewn in.
Yep.
They are not a comfortable vest. And one of the things I keep meaning to do is to buy a sewing machine and learn how to make my own goddamn vests.
Okay.
Because I would sacrifice my evil Uno vest
Uh-huh.
as a template
Uh-huh.
and then just make vests.
Okay. That sounds like a lot of work.
It does sound like a lot of work. It sounds easy.
It does not sound easy.
No, it sounds very easy to me because I don't know how to do it.
Uh-huh.
Because
I don't know how to do it, and it does not sound easy.
when I was in college and I was in a 3D design class, and this was when 3D design was with physical, cardboard and glue and popsicle sticks and whatever.
Right.
We had to make blueprints for specific shapes. And the way I figured out how to make those blueprints is reverse engineering. You build the shape and then you deconstruct it.
Okay.
And then when it's deconstructed, you can figure out how to make it one piece, and then where all the folds go and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same thing. Like I'll deconstruct a vest
Okay.
and okay,
What could go
I
wrong?
already have the pattern. That's why I think it's easy.
Sure.
I know it'll take me hours.
Oh, and then some.
Years and years ago, for the elliptical machine that I use when I work out,
Uh-huh.
that's mainly it's a exercise bike as well. I wanted to be able to use the exercise bike and the elliptical simultaneously, so I tore up a towel and tied it to the elliptical arms to be able to reach the arms while I'm sitting on the bike.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working out my upper body and my lower body at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a torn towel, so it would eventually fray and shred and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. With the last bike that I bought, I repeated that process, but I sewed the towel, the ends together, and then turned it inside out,
Okay.
so there are no frayed edges.
Great.
And I can, because I tie it in a knot, and then I can untie it and wash it when need be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's lasted for well over a year plus without having had any maintenance.
Great.
So it's like that kind of a principle.
Okay.
So anyway, I one day plan to make vests.
Okay, great.
But anyway, because I can't find red vests,
Sure.
is the point. But yeah, the other people I work with,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even say anything.
No.
I made a rule that Andrew cannot wear band shirts
Uh-huh.
to work, specifically because I do not like the bands that he likes.
Sure.
He can wear it under a sweater. That's fine. I'm not forbidding him from wearing it. I'm forbidding it for it to be
Visible.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he usually does have like a goose shirt or
Yeah.
something, and I don't mean
So yeah,
Captain Marvel's cat.
for us, look the part is very like
But I mean, we look the part.
right, and every employee we've had starts off that way, and then eventually,
Just, I mean, you and I looking the part means at least somebody is there. I don't know what's going on today.
uh-huh.
Anyway, but also put the money in the till.
Yeah.
I was showing you a video yesterday that someone posted on Instagram of a restaurant or a bar that had security cameras mounted in the ceiling directly above the cash register.
Uh-huh.
And you just watch this woman who's ringing somebody up, take their cash, palm it,
Yeah, crumple it up into her hand.
do
and then
everything on the
Hold
computer,
her hand over the register so it looks like she's putting the money in, but she's not.
take the change out, give the change, then you see her put the hand right in her pocket with the crumpled up bill.
The fist with the crumpled up bill goes right in her pocket to put the money away. Yeah, the time when I was working at Graham Crackers in Naperville and had several employees, like that was where I sort of figured out what my management structure was, because previously when I would have people working for me at Downers Grove, I didn't work with them. Like the store was not at a level where it could have multiple people working at the same time. So if I had somebody, they were working the days that I was off. So management was very leave notes for people and then see what they did afterwards and then figure out what notes you can leave next time to make that not happen again.
Wait,
or
you
whatever.
didn't find something you didn't like and then go in at night when they weren't there, shove everything off the counter onto the floor so they have to fix it in the morning?
I don't know what that is.
That is how upper management dealt with things they didn't like when I worked in that store.
Oh, fantastic. No. So when I was in Naperville, that's when I actually had other people that were working with me and other people that were working other days. And I mean, I don't know if it was a successful store by other people's terms, but we did really well financially. And a lot of that was because I really tried to prioritize customer service.
Sure.
Which was not appreciated by upper management. They wanted a certain number of tasks done all the time at all days. And my thing was, I would rather someone be at the register ready to ring somebody up and answer a question than be clear on the other side of the store doing some busy work task and then have to either constantly monitor the counter they were not at or rush over there or have someone who has a question not know who they can ask because every employee is on the floor doing some other thing.
And they also look like customers.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, for me at Challengers, obviously we have things we want to get accomplished, and at any given day we have tasks where it's like, okay, this order came in and we have to do that, or this is a project we're going to work on. But the priority is always, at all times, customer service.
To me, that's the frustrating irony of what we do, because you have a task you need to get done, and it's daunting, and you're stressed out, and then you have to stop to answer questions about how many issues Miles Morales has been in actual legacy numbering.
Sure.
And all you can think of is, I want to finish this task, or like if I don't finish checking this order in, there's nothing for people to buy. No, the most important thing is helping the people buy something.
Yeah, that's the weird dichotomy in the brain is like, I have to process this order because how else are we going to have books to sell? But it's like, here's someone in your store right now with money in their pocket. They're the person you have to make a priority. Like, they're the thing that's happening right now in the store that is the immediate concern. Because if you neglect them, if you don't give them solid customer service, if you, try and rush through this to get back to some other task, then there's no money to pay for the stuff that's coming in the door from a vendor, Yeah. That UPS order that you're trying to unpack, the person in the store that you're ignoring is who pays for that. So, yeah, it should always be customer service as the main priority, but different shops have different philosophies. And again, I worked at a shop where the main thing was this number of don't need boxes need to get done, and this amount of processing needs to get done, and this amount of bagging and boarding. And it's like, I get it. I don't like seeing that stuff pile up in the back room either, but that cannot be more important than being visible and attentive to customers in the store. Like, I don't ever want someone to walk up to the register and be sitting there waiting for someone to come up and ring them up. Like, every second they're waiting is a minute in their mind, because I've been that person. I've been places where it's like, why am I just standing here? Why is no one letting me give them money to get these things and get out the door?
Yesterday afternoon, you were filing a bunch of books in the drama section and then fixing that section because it was
the humor section. It was oh my God. Like, every shelf had like 10 books that were out of order.
Yeah.
Like, somebody had gone through that thing.
That sounds pretty funny.
And found a whole bunch of stuff and just shoved it back wherever they wanted. So every time I was fixing one book, I'd be like 3 books later, this goes on this other shelf. And the humor section is very tightly packed into one bookshelf. So moving stuff around is real difficult. Anyway.
I just noticed my microphone had rolled into my shirt. Oops. Wonder if that was muffled up until now. So you were focusing on that, and I was tearing down the table and chair from the signing we had in the morning.
Right.
And as I was walking them back to the back of Sidekicks, I saw that there were 2 people who looked like they were ready to get rung up. They were right by the register. So I'm like, you guys ready? And they were ready. So I put the chair and table down, and I went to bring them up, and I was talking to them, and they were asking about some of the prints that were on the wall, and they wanted to tread more print. And with that, at the same time, 2 club members came in who needed to get their books, but I'm not going to stop this interaction with these 2 people.
Yeah.
The club members can wait.
Yeah, the subscriber stuff, that always has to be like the last thing. If you have 3 things that are happening at the register, that's the one that's going to come through.
So I had to go into the back of Sidekicks and get the print, and then I talked a little bit more about the print, and then I got them a top loader for it.
Great.
And then took the time to put that in, and I let that transaction go on, so these people had hopefully a good memory or a good service, and felt better about what they were getting.
Yeah.
And I didn't just take their money. I explained, this Treadmore print is now 12 years old. And it was so great when he came out. His parents flew in to surprise him to be at this art show. and because it was people I didn't recognize and whatever. But like you prioritize the experience to the people spending the money, and you will frequently sacrifice club members because they can take it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, what you're delaying is just, like, there's nothing stopping them from looking around the store or anything else. You're just delaying the part where you hand them their subscription stuff, which they already got an email about, so they know what it is. This honestly goes back to our hiring philosophy, which is the main thing is just having a quality experience for the customer, and that takes enthusiasm more than it takes knowledge. So we try and hire people that are going to have that experience with a customer. They can be enthusiastic, talking about the books that someone's buying or answering a question or whatever. Because knowledge, a lot of it is just looking stuff up online now. Like when someone wants to know the release date for a book, I don't remember every release date for every book that's coming out. I just go to the appropriate distributor, type the book in, and go, okay, it's coming out May 8th. There you go.
Whoa, it is coming out May 8th. How did you know?
That was a genuine question somebody had about when something was coming out. I believe that's the Transformers trade paperback. I think the answer was May 8th. And then also the next issue of, what was the book?
I'm surprised you didn't offer them their choice of cover, FYI.
Yeah, right. I think they just wanted the basic Dan cover, which is what we ordered. I don't think we ordered into the John Boy Myers for the Transformers trade.
But that's limited print run.
It's the direct market variant. No, I would always rather have the Dan cover for a book that Dan drew. Yeah, so I mean, we definitely, I don't know that we have it codified into a two rules sort of situation like this company in the UK, but yeah, I generally feel like we try to make things as self-motivated as possible. Sometimes not always to the store's benefit. But yeah, the hope is always that people will feel empowered to, bring their own expertise and their own enthusiasm and their own idiosyncrasies to the store to
do you
make it
remember
something special.
The former employee we had who would, upon learning somebody was in for the first time, give them a tour, a lengthy physical and verbal tour?
I do not.
Oh, it drove you crazy.
Okay.
But we never intervened because we thought, like, this is actually a really good service.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that any store would do that should do that I personally, as a customer, would be like, please don't ever do that. But that's my own neuroses.
And that was the thing we had to do.
Brain.
We had to like keep an eye on this person to be like, does the customer like this or hate this? Yeah,
well,
and it was overwhelmingly like, but not always like.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this to death that I got it.
Oh, okay. You seemed like you didn't at first.
I eventually got there. I've said this to death, but what a lot of what Challengers is the opposite of the kind of store I would shop at personally.
Oh yeah. Number one, you're there.
Yeah,
you wouldn't shop at a store you worked at.
No, maybe. But one of the things that like people love about going to a regular shop is like they know who I am. Like come in and you're like they call me by name and they know my books and they know what I read. This is so great. I hate when I go to a restaurant often enough that they know me on site. Like that's always like I don't want to be known. I don't want to be recognized.
One of the things about that is you specifically order the exact same thing the exact same way every time.
When I go to Jersey Mike's now, they just hand me that bag. I don't have to say anything. Here you go, Dal.
Our customers get more than just one thing every time.
Not all of them.
But I mean, do you have it memorized? Like, oh, this person only gets Saga?
I mean, we have people that only get Star Wars,
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
But there's plenty of people who, when they go to their coffee shop, they get their regular and they love that, like, they already made my latte with whatever almond milk and I don't know what goes in a latte, ice cubes
Coffee.
And Twizzlers.
Tears.
People love that. And that would be a thing where if I walked in and they just made it for me without me even ordering it, I would be upset the rest of the day, if not longer. Like, even though I was probably going to order that, don't just assume, like, nope, let me order it.
When I was much younger, I thought that like living in a small town where everybody knew everybody was the goal, and think about how great that would be.
But I love anonymity, man.
Like,
I love it.
Like now,
Oh
if
my
I'm
God.
ever in a grocery store buying something and the checkout person picks up an item of food I'm buying and said, "Oh, I've been meaning to try these. Is this any good?" I just want to say, "Don't talk to me."
Right, and like that's the opposite of what you have to do at the store. Like
Right.
what you need to do at Challengers. We had this experience Wednesday where we talked to somebody about a book that they were getting and they were excited about it. And the next person in line was like, that sounds great. I want to get that.
Yeah.
It's like, this is awesome. This is the ideal Challenger's experience. And yet, yeah, man, if I was at like, I can't even think of a store that I would go to. If I was at Walgreens and they were like, oh, this candy bar, I had this candy bar. It's really good. And they told me all about it. I'd be like, just tell me my candy bar. I don't want to have this interaction.
I want to point out that in every instance it's usually, I buy a lot of vegetarian food, so it's usually the vegetarian food they're asking about.
The tenderest of rounds.
So they don't ask questions at Apple Valley because they know everything about the food there. It's when it's a checkout counter person who doesn't understand it. But when I said my feeling is just leave me alone, I never say that. I always answer their question with a smile. And I'll always be like, oh, I love this, or oh, I'm trying it for the first time. I'll let you know if it's any good.
You don't want to be confrontational. You don't want to be an asshole.
While I'm thinking, please don't talk to me, I'm not letting that show.
Oh, same here. Like, I will never be like, how dare you, or please stop doing this.
But
it
by
will
the
always
same
be
token,
like,
there are people
oh no, ha ha ha,
that
and then later
we bring
I just
up
think,
regularly who we know, like, oh, we don't talk to these people. Like, we don't try to have a conversation with them.
Yeah, you never want to force it for sure. Like, I don't, like, one of the things I've talked about, I think maybe before, definitely to you, Patrick, I don't know if it's on the podcast, but like going to like a dental cleaning and then having the dentist be like, oh, you work at a comic shop. Oh, and then they want to talk about comics, but they don't read comics. So it's always just like, oh, what's the most valuable book you've got? Or like, oh, did you go see that new Spider-Man movie or whatever? And suddenly it's like, I'm working now. Like, this is not fun for me. This is my job. You're making me do my job at your job while I'm paying you. And that's what I think about when it's like, I don't want that experience. I don't want to have to be cordial or whatever at these different experiences. It's just like, I literally just want to get my thing and go. But that, again, that is the antithesis of what Challengers is as a store. And it has been for 16 years. It's not what we try to do. And if I saw like an employee having that attitude, I'd be like, please stop doing that. Like, go home.
Specifically, you mentioned dentists. My dentist is literally 2 blocks down the street from Challengers.
Hey, mine too.
And my dentist...
Is it 2 blocks? What would you call this 606? Is it 1 block, 2 blocks?
1 block.
But what if it was down Milwaukee? 1 block or 2 blocks?
The one down Milwaukee?
Yeah.
2 blocks.
Okay, so 2 blocks from me then.
Okay. My dentist will always be, so how's business? Like, she doesn't care about asking about comics.
No. She's just
like,
making
how's business? I'm like, let's not talk about this.
Yeah. My favorite.
I think she's asking because she knows how much the bill is going to be, and she wants to make sure I can afford it.
Would you say you're flush with cash?
Flush with cash.
My favorite dental hygienist.
You knew that was coming.
I do. That's why I said it that way. My favorite dental hygienist, Stephanie, who
long gone now.
Long gone, was at Grove Dental for
because of what you did.
Over a decade, and then suddenly wasn't there anymore. And I just thought, I'm not going to Grove Dental then. But she was great because
that once confided to me in private that if he walks into a dentist's office and there is a man dental hygienist, he turns and walks out.
That is incorrect.
He said, and I quote, "They don't have the character for it."
Not a single word of that is true. But Stephanie was great.
Absolutely.
One of the reasons why she was great was that she only talked about herself. So I never had to like respond a whole lot or be on or think about a lot of stuff.
Well, keep in mind when she
would
says,
just talk
"I
about-
hate you," it's not all about herself. Some of that's on
It's
you.
a reflection of her. But she would just talk about like her family and her work and stuff. And it's like I could just zone out and which is great because
Yeah, but to be fair, those are things you do not care about.
right. So it's all just surface
Other
like,
people, I mean.
interaction, small talk stuff. Great, fine. Like it's nothing directed at me that I have to come up with an answer for, which is great because someone's hands are in my mouth with medical tools and they're scraping, and that's the last point where I want to start talking about what portrayal of Uncle Ben was the best in a live action movie or whatever. Also, it's Marissa Tomei. That's the answer. It's the best Uncle Ben.
As we go through episodes, I frequently take notes about what can the title be, what can be the cold open quote, and what's the visual image that represents the episode. And for this whole episode, I'm like, I got nothing. We're not talking about a specific book. We didn't read any previews this week.
No.
We're not mentioning something new this week, so there's no comic I can use. But since we ended talking on dentists, and when I say ended, I mean we're going to push this off till next week.
Okay, great.
I was tapping a note we have for the next topic, but we'll save that. One of my favorite pictures that's in my camera roll it's 10 years old now.
I think you showed it to me just recently.
I did show it to you recently. Now that I have my dad's Amazon Show Echo or whatever it's called, it has a photo gallery. So I loaded whatever photos are on my phone, and I dump photos out of my phone frequently. So I only have, my favorites.
Okay.
So anyway, 2 years ago, I got 2 teeth pulled on a Wednesday morning when my dentist was down North Avenue a little bit. And it took 2 dentists 3 hours to pull these 2 teeth. And this is a photo of the dental tray with all the tools on it that they used. And they used like 24 tools. And this is a photo I took of the tray afterwards, because every single tool on that tray has my blood on it.
I think some of it's automotive tools too. I mean, there was stuff that was not for human beings.
They were jaws of life. I think there were some gynecological tools. There was definitely a car jack.
There was one I recognized from like deep sea mechanical work, like on pipelines and stuff.
Every single tool has my blood on it. So as graphic as that may be, that's going to be the image.
Cool.
For this,
we got there.
Because we ended talking on dentists. And when I say I ended, we ended. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
Just go on, move ahead with your life. Feeling mutual, baby. I don't wanna feel like I'm stabbed with your knife. I'm not a butcher, baby. Am I supposed to have a plan for every step I'm taking? All I understand is rules are meant for breaking.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.